Should be a fun one. Let's see what goes down in the top left. Our blue Zerg player. This is a rogue. In the bottom right, our red Protoss. It is classic. One Chrono Boost coming through. We got a few drones and the hatchery coming about. We just get set up. Obviously nothing too crazy for the first couple of moments here. When we get underway. We got the Nexus down. And it's going to be Nexus before core mild. Thing of note is our Cyber Core will come through. Golden Ore for the opening map. Big map. Very macro definitely. Again, you know, one you don't necessarily expect the Zerg to try and be aggressive on. The Pro should be pretty comfortable going to a later game stage here, so I'm kind of interested to see what the what if, you know, Rogue has anything planned outside of just letting this go to macro, so. Adept just kind of boosting it down, a couple of queens and the Ling speed all coming through as well, so we continue to bring that up. Stargate building from Classic, we get that going. Queen about to pop, the feelings coming around. Again, Ling speed drones coming up here as our Stargate is the choice from Classic to begin with. Kind of expected. You know, again, I'm saying this is a good map to play defense on to kind of set yourself up into macro. Stargate and Oracles really just let you do that, and they are so good throughout the game. The value of an Oracle is actually ridiculous. The longer it stays alive, it's just constantly getting something. There's a few Lings, and the Queen gathering up. Ling speed as well coming through. Rise Rogue still playing in these if there's no chance he makes it to eSports World Cup. Well, these events don't give points anymore anyway, so we'd probably presume he's playing it for the prize money. Believe it or not, that's what some of these players play for. They play for all this prize money and stuff. It's crazy. Madness, I know. Feeling's gonna come through, and they're gonna get a wraparound. Adept gets surrounded. Adept will go down, so that Adept gets denied. And that is gonna be a Stalker now coming through to poke against an Overlord that gets pushed out toward the center of the map. Overlord will go down, so Rogue actually going to get supply blocked off of that. His new Overlord is actually only just starting up, so it's going to be quite some time until that is truly ready to go. So yeah, Raro75, thank you so much for the 34-month resub on the Prime. Appreciate it. Well, one Stalker will come and help the Oracles to poke back the Lings. Obviously, Oracles don't really want to activate and use up their energy on that. Trying to stay a little bit clear of it. The Ling is trying to run towards the natural, not going to do too much either. Oracles will activate 3, 4 drones already going down, make it 5, not quite going to make it 6. This Queen's still chasing, the Oracles will continue. Come through, it's going to be 7. Oh, missed micros though. I mean, 7's nice, but low HP one Oracle, the other Oracle dead. It's not ideal. I mentioned how good these Oracles are through the game. We do still have one back at home, a full HP boy. But yeah, just it didn't need to be. This is what it always comes down to. It's like, well, he still did good, but at the end of the day, he didn't need to lose that Oracle. That was just a miscontrol trying to get one extra kill. Just didn't need to go down like that. tips will fire. A couple of lanes going down. We do see the depths able to keep the pressure going then. And Oracle's going to dive in toward the main base. It's a lot of lost mining time, to be fair. Those drones pulling a long way off, as the Stasis Ward will be a way to try and force more drones to the main base to miss out on mining. So Rogue is missing a lot of mining time here. Classic is finding some success. 3 more drones went down with this. Obviously lost the depths, but I mean, like I say, denied a lot of mining time. Got some kills. Stalker's just hanging out here. +1. Blink continue up. Robo Facility, Temple Archives coming through. The Hydra Den, the Evo Chamber continuing up. And that shows us where Rogue is going to. Into those Hydras. 66 drones currently. Are we going to go beyond that 3-base saturation with the 4th? Are we going to saturate that 4th? Or are we just going to send this as a Ling Hydra timing? It's going to be a bit of a bad time, right? Evo Chamber just finished, so upgrades are going to be a long way off. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the setup is really there for this to be some kind of commitment, and it's not, so Infestation Pit will just start up instead. We get a few drones on the way. Storm, +1, and Blink all coming about. And get that on the go. Full panels drop down here as well. It's going to be seeing those High Templars joining up with those Stalkers. Storm is building from Classic, and that is what we're heading towards to get things underway right now. Still have that Storm coming through, +2 attack coming up, the Forge and the Gates coming online. Now the Oracle kind of sneaking around here still. We're going to see a bit more of what's going on. These Oracle's actually with the Observer, able to get rid of some creep tumors, and you know what? I don't hate it, you know? Creep is obviously very powerful for Zerg, and Protoss that wants that to be out on the map at some point. Getting rid of this creep is actually a big deal for you, so don't hate the choice to get rid of that creep spread. It's not that crazy. At least I don't feel like it's that crazy. I'm still gathering oracles in the main base, just tapping through once again. There's only so much they can do. Maybe even just revelating, trying to keep an eye on what time the hive is going to be done at. It's obviously pretty good information to have if you can get it, right? So, little things you can, again, keep checking on. That's +1/+1 continues into play. The Hydras and the hive continue out. Lurkers popping through. I think the Seismic Spine's coming up as well, so yeah, Rogue really is just heading towards Lurkers, and Classic, knowing that, is on his way to the Fleet Beacon, so he's going to head towards the late game Stargates. Thing is running over, Stalker taking some shots. Adrenal Glands, Carapace upgrade coming through, that Seismic Spine still coming in. You even see the Nidus from Rogue and Aspire, so he's accepting this is going later. He realizes this is contaminated, slow down one of those carriers, and he just sets himself up to harass and kind of, again, start building up some of these Aspire upgrades, most likely. Like I say, future-proofing his army is you move up here. The Lurkers don't have their upgrades yet, so they're not as good as they will be eventually. As we're actually going to see, this is a moment where it looks as though Classic is going to try and do something about it. I don't blame him, because it kind of doesn't look like much, but he needs to be careful. Losing some of the production on the third day shouldn't be the only reason you go here. You got to make sure you can fight this as Rogue. He's going to come in with some reinforcements as well. Lings come in, they're going to wrap around those Immortals. Storms all over the Lurkers. So that part of it's not a problem. My problem is that the Immortals are getting caught by the Lings. I think this was okay for Classic. The Nidus does go up in the main base during this. It's a chaotic time, and hence there's not even anything in the Nidus. Rogue can't make use of that yet, and it probably goes down before it gets anything out of it, so that's probably not going anywhere. This Nidus will indeed drop. 2 more carriers, 2 more Immortals, a couple High Templars continue to come about as that carrier is going to launch onto and kill off this Overseer, so we'll knock that down as well. Let's continue out around the right, and they're just going to go jumping onto this pylon. So pylon will indeed drop down dead. And a couple carriers, immortals, and zealots all coming up. Classic bringing all of those through. +3 attack, +2 armor coming in. There's a chunk of zealots up to the top side where they're going to go launch themselves onto this hatchery. Hatch going to get fully surrounded, is going to go down. Temple's still coming up, Interceptor's launching. Just going to be seeing a few more lings getting picked away at here. So we have 8 more lurkers, 10 more lurkers coming about. Interceptor's flying, the Nexus will drop on the 5th base. Zealots come charging through, and that is going to be a couple of spines getting picked off immediately. Hatchery cancelled, the lings running into this, and the Zealots are going to try and turn themselves onto that lurker. Lurker goes down. That's all cat getting rid of a lurker. Obviously, these Zealots are still running for their lives, but any lurk you get rid of just chips away at those numbers. Obviously, the numbers right now very heavily and well, very happily kind of set up for Rogue. Not really in someone's favor. Army supplies and everything looking good. But yeah, getting rid of any lurkers you can is going to be decent. Three probes. Just get picked off there. Still noticing around, just trying to keep map control. Rogue constantly looking to be that terror in this game, constantly looking to be such a threat. Wanting to be as annoying as he possibly can be. As the Zealots run up to the top, behind us are going to be there. The Zealots all go down. He's going to hold position on the mineral line on the 6 o'clock, so again, just finding little bits of damage. I like how active Rogue is being. He's never letting Classic feel overly comfortable, right? Always forcing Classic to have responses ready. Classic, though, is not being afraid. He's been handling his harassment well. In fact, he cleans up these lings now, which is great. And even confident enough to kind of push forward with his army a little bit, too. There is a bit of action on his right side base. Lurkers get over here. They find a few probes again, but Classic calmly just pulls back, handles it, gets back to mining. He's in no rush. Little bits of damage like this are very manageable. So it's going to run through. A couple drones going to get grabbed as we do see the lurkers continue to play the defense. Guys, just going to come pushing through. We just have ourselves again, Vipers, Corruptors all joining together. A couple Queens going to drop the creep tumors down. A little bit of a push continuing over. Hydras to the top right side. Going a bit of a move as well. They're going to set up in the top. Cannons, High Templars all setting up here. Carrier Force still moving about. Going to get rid of some of these creep tumors. I get a storm down as we abduct the carrier in. Tempest coming up, the Stargate's coming through. Couple lanes getting picked off. We do have 3 Tempests on the way out currently. More and more Tempests, more and more kind of being able to fight at range. I feel like Classic's actually, for Rogue having been the one that's been kind of doing a lot as we actually saw the fight starting to come out. Storm's going down. The Corruptors get stormed up a lot right there. Mothership's gone, but he did time warp the Corruptors. They got stuck in that time warp a little bit. Scepter's pulled back and... yeah, so I was about to say, I actually feel like Classic is actually kind of controlling this game pretty well himself. Yes, Rogue's been the one kind of Nidus and harass and all sorts, but Classic's dealt with those things. He's thrown his own bit of harass across the map. He's on a good army. He's kind of kept a good presence with his army in the center of the map as well, so he's threatening the possibility of fighting too. I think that also goes a long way. Aspire coming up. So you see a couple of changelings dropping down. The corrupt is all still gathering. Look down one changeling in the center here. Just gonna still see the Great Spire coming online. The carapace are pretty coming through. Overseer and Corruptor is gonna move forward. It's gonna be an abduct and an abduct. Tempest and the carrier both going down quickly. Obviously, those abducts can find you a lot of value as Classic works his way towards base number 6 on that right-hand side. As he gets that online and established, well, we end up in that position, right? Where if Rogue can't deny these bases, eventually he is going to have to fight just a very strong army that's going to have stacked defense all over the map. That 6 base gets up, Classic is going to be smiling. He's definitely making progress towards it for the moment. Again, Classic is on a bit of a push, chasing those units away and turn this into more of a fight. However, Vipers are going to get there. The Viper Abduct wasn't even needed for that carrier to go down. So much, threat in that army, right? The potential to abduct us is so scary. Like I say, so much potential as a set of cannons set up in the bottom left-hand side. A couple Tempests in the Nexus still coming through. Luggers will fire up. Those cannons taking damage. Templar's coming back over. A few more High Templar coming in. Yeah, another Nidus up on the back. That's denied immediately as the recall comes through. And yeah, like I say, if nothing else, Rogue is just using these Nidus as a way to force Classic to somewhat stay back, to not always be able to just kind of linger on the map and threaten locations himself. Storms? Yeah, good enough. Cannons went down already, but we save a couple. We continue to invest in that side defense, trying to make run-bys like that impossible to be effective eventually. Let's get the pylon. Tempest, Carriers, Mothership, Immortals continue to press through. A couple of Fitchimas will go down. Battery about to be done. Lurkers are still fighting. The cannons are building. Our +3 melee, our chitinous plane, our +2 fire carapace. Everything's on the way. Upgrades just keep rolling in here from Rogue. To be fair, Classic pretty much has the upgrades. It's missing air armor 3 and shields 3. Those are the only things he doesn't have currently upgrade-wise in this game. Abduct. One carrier goes down. Another carrier. Got to be a little careful there. Getting pushed around the edges. From afar, picking away at those cannons. We are going to be seeing the Immortals still coming about. The Lurk's going to head the other side. Lurker on the right side, and a couple more Lurkers popping out as well, looking to put some pressure onto this set of cannons here. Gonna have this Zealot playing the Dodgems game. NetBean, thank you so much for the 4-month resub on the Prime. Thanks for organizing the Summer Bash. No worries. Thanks so much for supporting the stream with the Prime sub. I really appreciate it. Helps us to run events like that. Thank you, thank you. Nidus goes down. Denial on the right side, upper right hatchery getting into position. Gonna see once again just action in the natural as it's a few Lings that get through. Actually depowering here and could maybe get rid of a Cyber Core. I mean, +3 air armor only just started. And this becomes a later and later game duel. What do we expect to kind of be the deciding factor? Well, at some point someone needs to find the, the chance to pull the trigger and commit. At some point I think Classic might be trying to deny a basis zone. It might come around. I love that Rogue is constantly able to pressure the other side of the map to where Classic is. He knows Classic is on the bottom at the moment. Boom, he's got Lurkers top right. And those Lurkers, again, applying that pressure, looking to make something of this situation. See very active kind of aggression coming through here. On the same time, over on the left, the Protoss army is making moves and looking for opportunities to try and come through, break through the creep and into some space. Gonna see if there's any opportunities at all in that regard, but so far it seems like there isn't. Oracle activating. I'll let the chest away. Tempest carriers. Pushing those Lings back around. A couple of mortals going to hit the top right side. This hatchery going to take some shots. Good to deny one of these bases. Going to keep the game a little bit more even. Don't let Rogue mine two bases that you cannot. Probes transferring. So a lot of probes from Classic in this game. The bank is huge. I wouldn't mind seeing 10-15 probes going down and just replacing it with more army, giving you more chance to work with things. I actually think that would be a really positive change at this point. Night is coming up, 7 more spores coming through. The Ultra's gone the way from Rogue as well. You get a little abduct off, Tempest goes down. Viper's gonna die to cannons. Gets the Tempest at least off the abduct, so it was something somewhat worthwhile. Still though, Viper's not exactly cheap, and Rogue immediately goes to replace it. Right now we're just trying to drag out little bits of efficiency. 24,000 to 23,000 resources lost. It's close enough right now to say that this has been fairly even. Rogue has not been allowed to mine from that top right base, but he is mining the gold out. Once he mines the gold out, he can ignore the bottom left more and then focus on taking the top right. Can Classic trade well enough to let the Zerg take both those bases, or does Classic, I mean, you can see setting up a pile on the minimap right now. His plan is to expand in that top right, and I think he needs to, right? Unless he's going to start trading way more efficiently, he needs to match the base count of his opponent. So yeah, that top right needs to become Classic's, but that ain't going to be an easy move to make. That said, if he gets stacked defense, then maybe it isn't so bad. He's going to bring his main army up there again right now, as you do see United is in the natural expansion, so that's going to cause Classic to maybe have to rethink about pushing in. United is popping out at the same time. We also have Lings and an Ultra running in over here on these cannons. The United is not doing much. We just recall back home. Again, that stacked defense line going over here as well, but that's not exactly invincible, especially as the Lurkers start to move their way over. You'd expect those Lurkers are going to have an easy time and everything gets cancelled. It's the right idea from Classic. He just needs to buy enough time without having to turn back home to get that base properly established, and then to keep on holding that location once it's established. That's what Classic needs to find over the next little bit. That's what he really needs to get going for himself. As the Lurkers pull back over toward the left-hand side. Lurkers, Ultras all coming up. We got ourselves Oracles, Tempest, Carriers joining together as well, figuring out what we are going to do here. Classic working his way towards the bottom left. The problem with the bottom left is I feel like that gold is very heavily mined out, so denying this mining is not going to be as effective. I guess there is still quite a lot of minerals on this base, so maybe it's not as far gone as I thought, so there's never going to be a bad thing to deny. It's just, I feel like making sure that top right doesn't mine too much is still an extremely important factor as well. As the Lurkers make their way forward here, and this is the issue. As soon as Classic does something, Rogue is ready to punish him forward, so nothing is done freely here for Classic. As I love this, break through that Zealot, and we have access into the natural for Lings. And the recall back over here is actually going to allow us to play cleanup, though. We get rid of the Nidus, we get a couple Lurkers, and the last few units will go down too. That is going to be a hold from Classic, and Rogue actually the one that loses quite a bit there. Resources lost now jumps to a 2.5k difference favoring Classic so far. Of course, we're expecting the efficiency to be on the Protoss player's side. Will we maintain that efficiency? 26 minutes here on Golden Aura. I feel like we were heading this way the moment we saw that Golden Aura was map 1. Because we'll get rid of those zealots. Patch bottom left goes down. Classic just trying to mine from it. Any base or any mining Classic can get that isn't going to be rogues is a benefit. Them is still pushing through. Our carriers and our immortals coming forwards. Couple of spores going to get knocked down. That hatch on the left side goes down as well. We will get rid of this left-hand side spore crawler wall. There is a real possibility that Rogue ends up in a position where he just can't really fight this army, right? Soldiers on the way. The recall to the right side is going to allow you to deny the top right base. Loving Classic's movement. But everything that Rogue has done to make it difficult on Classic, Classic is just ping-ponging and utilizing his tools to be able to hit some of these bases that you wouldn't have typically expected him to get to so easily. Ling Ultra shows up, and Classic is struggling to mine properly from that bottom left side. And even this 6 o'clock is not fully mined out. There's a few mineral patches left here, albeit very low minerals left on them. Pull back over. The probes are going to pull across. 2 more probes going down. Nexus and a little bit canceling over there. The Zerglings still going down as well. Grab another Nidus. So, man, how many Nidus have died this game? 16. Rogue has been so consistent with putting those down. He has been absolutely refusing to just not harass, right? He's been going. Rogue is double expanding, top right and bottom left, retaking those bases. That's the issue for Classic, I think. He just can't deny one of those bases and take it for himself. And I think that's why he's going to forever run into a problem in this game. Unless he can just win one big fight somewhat soon. With storms, with Tempest shots. How's it going to come down here? He's been long distance mining with probes off of this gold base for a bit. There's still thousands of minerals left here. And like 4,000 gas. This base is important, so is this one. This has even more gas and probably even more minerals. That's why Classic has put such an attention onto denying those bases from the Zerg. Like I say, I think if Classic ends up with the gold, it's not exactly ideal because it has less resources than the top right, but maybe you can still mine efficiently enough to make it so that doesn't matter. Bum, bum, bum. 30 minutes. We've ticked on over. There's a round of 8 matches already popping. As you see some probes on the bottom left, and they go in a long distance mine. The Nexus does get placed before a hatchery goes down there, so that's a step in the right direction for Classic, who love to mine this base out. Lurkers here just gonna get cleaned up as well. What's Rogue rebuilding? Well, I can't imagine it's Lurkers. Whoa, we actually got quite a few probes in the end. Over here. Brood's on the way up from Rogue. Classic goes into High Templar. So Rogue has decided this is it. This is the time to go for the Great Aspire switch. got to be very confident in your army at this point as Rogue. Brood Lords cannot really retreat away from positions like everything else in this army's been able to thus far, so once you're committed to a fight, you're probably going to be in it forever until those broods go down. Classic knows about it immediately, as Cannons and Immortals play the brutling defense on this side. We'll drop one Storm off as a starting point. We do have recall available, but do we want to use it to get over there? We're actually breaking into a fight over here as the Ultras run in. The Immortal Wall is just going to blast that back, so that goes nowhere for Rogue. He replaces these Ultras with Corruptors. Still fighting, the army still pulling across that right hand side. Ultra's starting to dive toward the bottom left. Cannons are firing away. We still have a Storm available. Mortar's going to be there firing it up. The Ultra's taking big damage. On 60 to 170 army supplies, we've been replacing probes and drones with units at this point. A lot of gas banked from Classic, whereas Rogue only has 3.6k banked. They're both mining gases from top right and bottom left now, so the gas income has resumed. Just getting popped by those Archons, Crypt Tumors going down. Brutes continuing away to the upper right hand side, taking the Watchtower. A couple more Crypt Tumors being knocked away at. Oracle's coming through, we'll drop that Revelation in. I'm coming across over towards the left, going to see a few of the Changelings. Getting knocked away at here, Crypt Demon's going to be big pickoffs as well. Clearing up the map a little bit, making space. We're kind of edging towards that point where the one big fight happens. There will be rebuild potential, though. With the banks that these two have, rebuild potential is absolutely alive on this one. Hotel still coming through. Army on the right side from Classic. Ready to potentially push upwards here. Going towards this upper right side base. Trying to see what we can do. It's going to be poking and prodding. Lurker going to go down. Spores nearby as well. Again, it's very difficult to justify a fight in, because if you're fighting in, you're fighting into that stack defense. The Broods are kind of in the open a little bit, but I'm not sure we're going to catch them or anything. Oh, we get a Viper. And we get a Carrier. That goes both ways. And the Storm is still going down. Our Tempest, our Carriers, everything continues to move back through the center of the map. So back across we go. Just on the right side. Only get a single cannon, but they force a recall. Well, ground Immortal Force wants to be wherever those Ultras are. They will absolutely shred the Ultras. The point of the Ultras may look a little bit silly. Ultras just gonna get back there. The Immortal goes down. Corruptus Spinecrawler coming in. The army of Classic still moving over the right hand side. I mean, he actually might get this base this time. At the very least, he's going to get the stack defense. The army of Rogue was just a little bit out of position for this, so Classic gets a good start on the base. He's got absolutely everything here as well, right? Immortals too, so well, let's see this fight. We're going to be seeing a lot of those Ultras going down. The Storms coming down all over the place as well. Corruptors beginning to meld. Rogue supply has plummeted, but does he have enough Corruptors to take down some extra bits and pieces at the end? Loving the Time Warp slowed those Corruptors down, and that will stop them retreating as well. Classics just absolutely smashed Rogue here as Rogue Actually, he's going to have an Overlord problem. He's got 74 lava, but he's only got 40 supply free because he lost so many overseas in this fight that the Overlords are an issue. Oh, Rogue just died. 12 Broodlords start to morph in off the Corruptors and 17 new Corruptors. That's going to be his dream. That's going to be how he tries to get there. It is a remax, but that's absolutely all of his gas. There's 96 Lings, 100 Zerglings are in production. Can't imagine they're going to fare too well against all of these Archons. Storms continue to go down. Lings taking shots. Broodlings, Corruptors continue forward. Another set of Corruptors trying to come through as well. Another ship trying to reply back. We fire up a little bit more. A couple Corruptors going down. Corruptors still coming about. Interceptors coming through. The Nexus and the cannon still building in. Bottom left-hand side, Rogue is running by on this gold base. The Classic still has 6k banked with a maxed army. Rogue has 186 army supply because he's down to 0 drones. But so much of his army is 105 Zerglings. That's just going to do nothing here. Like, really nothing. Here come the Broodlords marching across to this right-hand side. It's going to be seen that Corruptors continue to fight. Oh, Storm's coming down. Classic loses a lot of supply, but again, he's got the money to rebuild, whereas his opponent really does not have the money to rebuild this time around, so that will be the difference maker. And as you just see, these interceptors still trying to launch. Another ship cloaking is going to fade away. A couple probes going down. Rogue is going to be losing out, I think, because of Classic's rebuild. 5 Void Rays building. The problem is Rogue right now has 2 Corruptors, so there's 18 Broodlords and they basically have no protections. That's why these carriers are chasing. There's no anti-air. 5 Queens on the map might actually have to be used here. If we get rid of these Broodlords, everything else is just a freebie from there. But Classic Rogue actually took a very good fight. It's just, again, the issue of he was just so far behind. If this was the fight that happened originally, then this game would have gone Rogue's way, you know? Classic would have been in this situation, so... Push forwards. Again, we're chasing down Broods. Queens are going to try and transfuse a little bit. Just going to pull back. More carriers coming. There's just no gas available for Rogue. He spent everything on this rebuild already. And so Classic can now do the rebuilding himself and go from there. Lings got chased away. We will see the rest of these Lings moving about. 5 more carriers coming up into production. I was going to say GG. He actually has no way to shoot up to against anything. So as long as, you know, Classic's able to build more air units, this game comes to a close, and that's exactly what happens. GG's. And Classic takes game 1 after 39 minutes on Golden Aura slow. As these guys need no break despite the long game they just played. In the top, in the top right-hand side, the red Protoss player who does take the 1-0 lead is going to be Classic. In the bottom left, our blue Zerg, Rogue. Oh, hitting the reset button. Always a crazy one after a 40-minute game. You go back to the early game. So many builds are an option once again now. As this probe comes around the back. Well, the probe just gets nibbled at here as it just tries to scout around. Overlord comes to the top. There's a couple lings continue to chase that probe here. Probe pulling back towards the upper right hand side. And probes coming about, the Overlord coming in, Oracle and the Warp Gate coming up as well. You see the Oracle coming around, Overlord setting up. Depth continues to move around. A couple of queens and the drones all joining up together, and we got ourselves Depth now able to come through and try and put some pressure on. Tries to go for a drone. Spore Crawler builds. Good defense at the moment. We do have our first air unit, the Oracle, about to arrive in this main base, by the way, so that's going to fly in right here as well. So in we go. Flies in, flies out. It's going to be that for the moment, so going to deny that there. Oracle gets pushed away for the moment. Oracle will activate. A couple of drones going to go down. And a few drones going down, a couple Oracles still joining up, a couple of Depths going to be coming through. Oracles will gather with those Adepts underneath, and there's actually quite a few Adepts. This is going to be a fun little attack. Definitely one of those attacks where you have potential to get in and get something done. Get rid of a couple more creep tumors. The one Dev actually shades by. Honestly, even just creep tumor clearing right can give you potential for the future. Especially if you go and blink, it can be much easier to get those stalkers across the map if that is a factor. Drones continue to go down here. The Oracle still moving back and push back down the south. And +1 and blink still coming in. The extra gates coming around. Finally upgrade our drones. Continue to produce. The Oracles continue over to the right. And Devs will join together between the natural and third bases. Assimilators will drop on in. Dev Stalker is going to continue to come around. You see it chilling on the right hand side as well. So continue to gather up. He's going to be seeing the storm coming in. The blink is very close to finishing. However, look at this, a Dropper Lord coming through from Rogue. And he's getting the Overlord speed up, Roach speed on the way as well. A few more Roaches are coming about. These Lings are still moving forwards. So it's going to see the Stasis Ward catching a handful of Lings, and we are going to get a few Lings on toward the Nexus as well. Trying to find out a little bit of what's going on there. Again, +2 melee, Overlord speed, and Roach speed all producing. That Hive also coming in. Lings and the Dropper Lord coming up as well. And again, Storm coming into the Temple Archives. Yo, Dead Guy, how you doing? 63-month resub. Thank you so much for being so awesome. Appreciate it. As game definitely has that kind of longer-term vibe to it once more, right? Unless Rogue is just going to fully send here with this attack. I mean, he is going to have a drop a lot of queens. He's not drawn anymore, but he's got a Hive on the way. So that's why I'm kind of like, it feels aggressive. But there's tech behind it that maybe feels as though there's a potential that this game goes on a little bit longer instead. So there's that kind of combination available right now as Stasis Lord catches a bunch of Lings initially. First Storm is pretty good to soften up the Roaches. We've got an Immortal here that'll really benefit from those Roaches being softened. Oh my goodness, the Storm's just constantly going to make sure that all those Roaches are low. This is completely flunked from Rogue. The only thing I'll say is they will not have a Storm available for these Lings when they pop out, but the idea being, I guess, is that you're just going to be comfortable against those Lings anyway. They're going to come in, they're going to try and wrap around. Oracle will activate. And you have got an Archon in the front that gets caught. The other Archon just finished, though. Super Battery popped there, and it's going to be Classic holding this off very comfortably. It looked comfortable from the moment he started dropping those Storms, right? Looked really, really good. The rest of the Lings pull back toward the third base. It's going to come back over, going to knock on this set of rocks as well. Just going to open that up. Couple High Templars still coming through. Adrenal Glands +1 missiles coming about. Queens and the Hydra Den coming up also. The rest of our Oracles continue to move about. These will open up the rocks. Obviously, opening up the map in general going to give you some ability to move on through and to see what we can get done. So that +1 missiles, +3 melee coming in. The Respine's coming up. The Leg Den's still building. Oracle's still moving across. Things will go and jump onto the rocks. Gonna open this through. Again, just wants to open up the map. Zerg benefits from the map being open. More positions to attack in, directions to attack around, all that kind of stuff. There's Adrenal Glands +1 missiles and a +3 melee being added in there as well. So just a little bit of everything continues through. Just still coming about as the Oracles just gonna get rid of a couple of Lings. Do see units on the bottom side. Stalker Immortal coming by. The Ling's still getting chased out to the top side. The other Ling's moving through. Gonna see the Stalkers, the Immortals, pushing their way onto this base. The hatchery is going to be taken down, so it's going to knock that hatchery away here. Well, big push from Classic. Obviously, Rogue unsuccessful in the early game attack that he went for, and now likely going to get punished for it. The second Storm there wasn't really needed as soon as it went down. We do see the Lurkers coming in position. Does Classic really want to fight into a position with Lurkers available? Storms are still hitting a lot of stuff here. The question is, can these Immortals get through to the Lurkers? And the answer is going to be yes. The supply difference is massive as Classic cleans up in 10 minutes for Game 2, and we get a 2-0.